Welcome to day 27, changing the models. So we're now at a stage where we're really paying attention to a full spectrum of our life and look at things from a different perspective to always put ourselves first. So today we're going to just look at different concepts and just show you how we limit ourselves by taking on other models. So our truth is our truth. Words, models, concepts, ideas is all from the ego, all from the mind. Again, all from others. So to start with, to make sense of this, we're going to go back to that wheel that we started on the very first day, Soul Revive. And since that course, a big insight for me was we always go outside of ourselves. And that model really hit me. That model's for the mind. And the concept, the idea is great. But the concept now I see is slightly flawed, but we get to change the model. So that has its purpose. And there's so much awareness that comes from that. Yet you'll see that was still starting from the mind. That very first session, the ego does go off. Now we're aware of the soul, we start from the soul. And throughout today's session, it's all about the self. And it's to be in control and confident to start from the self, because that is the truth. So on that model, we draw a big circle. And again, you can do this on a journal, on a bit of paper. I'm going to show you the difference. So remember the analogy, the sun on the land and then the castle around. So imagine that sun is the soul, which is you, in the middle of that circle. And if you remember last time, we had 8 segments, and each one you go further away from yourself, and the best number, number 10, was as far away from self as possible. So what does that highlight? We have to go away from ourselves. We're chasing ourselves. We're so far away from what 10 out of 10 is. That's the mind. We are 10 out of 10. We always have been 10 out of 10. We've just forgotten. Now job is to remember. So we're going to turn it on its head. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes to start with. And we're going to do this from the soul first. And I'd like you to sit with each answer and to see the difference when you start from the truth. Remember, we are learning day by day, but every day is a new day. So the past is irrelevant because we are here today. The future is great for the imagination, but we are here today. So let's start today. And if I ask, how are you feeling now? Or how are you feeling? It leaves it open. How are you feeling now? Be honest, I'm calm. I'm peace. I'm joy. Any slight worry is slightly ahead or slightly behind. But in this moment, I'm calm, I'm peaceful. I'm good, thank you. So let's start from you in the middle. 10 out of 10 on all things. And each number goes further away from yourself. And it's an honest reflection of yourself at this moment in your life. I'd like you to bring awareness of the difference from when we first did that initial session. When you start from 10 out of 10, knowing that all you have to do is now remember to get back on track, to get in alignment, to be centered, to be calm, to be clear, to have clarity. All of the C's. So, closing your eyes. You in the center. Your soul. Your highest self. And all we need there is the imagination. Every aspect of yourself showing up as your highest self. always seeking to improve, to grow, to learn. So, best self. 10 the very best, and 0 the very worst. Can you see how far away 0 is now? You got a long way to go away from yourself to get to there. So let's see what the answers are for this one. So change the words as well, because they're models before. We can make this work however we choose. The words all can come from us. So let's start with health. Current reality on health. Every day is a new day. And notice where the mind goes. How are you defining health now? Remember, these answers can change. What is my health? So next is awareness of the words that we choose to speak. On this journey, we've brought so much more awareness to many things, and words in particular, the power of the words. How would I score myself on my words? Another area of focus. Self-development. Soul development. You in the center. How would you score yourself now? Your self-development. Next is spirituality / faith / religion. Your spirit, your connection to God, your relationship with self. Next, we have consistency. If you used to score yourself, how consistent are you with yourself? Showing up every day as yourself. Next is meditation / you time. Time out for you to go within. Let's talk relationships. Starting from self. Relationship with your body. The owner of your vessel, taking ownership. The partner with your body, partnership. What is the relationship with your body? Next, a relationship with your mind. The positive thoughts. The awareness of the words before you speak. Awareness of the ego. What is your relationship with the mind? And the last one for today is the relationship with your soul. Awareness to how often you're now connected with the soul. How often you think about the soul. How often you are feeling the soul, the spirit. You in the center. You are all those things. So where are you at this present moment? So to go through those again, keeping the eyes closed, and just see what comes up as I speak these words. Your health. Spirituality / faith. Self-development. Words. Consistency. Meditation / you time. Time for yourself. Relationship with the body. Relationship with the mind. Relationship with self. So you can come back to all of these points, starting you at the middle, and I would encourage to sit on your own and see what does come up for you. It's such an interesting concept when we start looking at it from us in a position of remembering. Because in that remembering, we then get a choice. If things don't serve us, we can choose not to engage. The honesty with ourselves. If you look at this concept now, we're not chasing and we're not looking at things, they're just so far away from us. It's impossible to reach. We've got a long way to go. All time. If every day is a new day and we start with the awareness, straight away the numbers are already high. Because awareness is your soul. Then you use the mind, the imagination. Then you connect with the feelings. And from those feelings, from those visions, from those images, you now have your number. A number is still the mind. You have the feelings connected to that number. Awareness. So I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. And we're going to then look at another area where we can take ownership of the duality. The dark and the light. The choice. Duality is always mind. If it's one or the other, it's always the mind. As the soul, as the truth, we get to add that component in. And if we look in life on the spectrum, awareness of the very worst, knowing that that pendulum swings as far forwards for infinite possibilities, open to new descriptions. And whenever we view a spectrum, we seem to view from the middle. As an example, mind is in the middle of the body and the soul. We're looking at one or the other, and the mind is the conductor in the middle, the composer. So we always seem to start from the middle. We start from the truth, and then we find the opposites. So let me give an example. If we have the bad and the good, and we're sitting in the middle, the okay. If we're not having a good day and we're just okay, we're a lot closer to bad. Yet we can redefine that if we start from the good and that pendulum swings back to okay. The bad is just a distant thought. We don't have to get caught up in that. We can use other words for bad. We can redefine. So, using opposites, bad, good, and the great. So start from the truth. I am great. Greatness. And if I'm having okay, I'm good. And if I'm feeling down, I'm still okay. The words that we describe changes the energy inside us, because the body responds to those commands, those vibrations, those noises. So finding your spectrum. We had grow and protect. And protect is quite a good word anyway. The bad we can throw even further down the line. The hide. Hide, protect, and grow. So when now we define if it's one or the other, we look at as protect as a bad thing. Because when we grow, we're in flow. But as we know, the ego is our teacher. It is our protector. So instead of looking at from a negative, let's add more words onto that spectrum. We create the swing of the pendulum. So we start from flow, which is our soul. When we're in flow and we come out into the external world, life is a lot more calmer, a lot more at peace. So we got the pain, and then we got the pleasure, the two ends of the spectrum. If we start from the pleasure, which is the soul, and at that midpoint now, we can place the peace. So at the end of the spectrum, you're still in your truth, the okayness, the midpoint, the set point, the neutral. And can you see that we're still further away from a word that does not define us? And even moments of feeling uncomfort, we still can use the sadness as the soul. We can use the challenge. We can use the flustered, the triggered instead of the anger. We define the rules. The negative, the positive, and the overexcited. We can re-emphasize the words that we choose. We can change the models. So we're going to bring awareness to the choice. And can we have that third, the truth, to put in any part of the spectrum? We can bring awareness to the ego. And then there's different levels of the ego, ones that do not serve us. One that we can now monitor on others, become aware of it. And if we choose to disengage, we know it's because it's not our truth. And then changing the rules. When we're engaging with other people and questions come your way, especially if it's a one or the other, we can redefine the questions. We can step in. That's our awareness. So, let's give a few examples of that. The first one's a great one. How old are you? A regular question. A number of different conversations with strangers. Reminders from friends. How old are you now? How young am I? I'll tell you how young I am. Change the game. And it's those moments where we can stand on our truth. We still give them an answer that they're looking for, but redefine the structure. Keep it in our space and do it from a place of neutrality. No emotions. In fact, enjoy it. Have fun with it. I heard someone ask a question the other day. What are your weaknesses? And then the person answers straight away. They told them all the things that they labelled themselves as weak. Of course they're weaknesses. You're identifying yourself with weaknesses. We can rephrase that question. I wouldn't say weakness. I say I have challenges. I have resistance. I have many things that I could improve on. And there's a lot of things now that I choose not to engage. But weaknesses, I wouldn't look at it like that anymore. If I want to do something, I'll work on it. And when the time's right, that would be my next focus. And if I do not enjoy, I find someone else that does. And that's the beauty of life. I do. And when they receive that answer, it's a truth. It's from a place of calmness. It provides insight. It changes the perspective. It continues a conversation. And the moment they go into negative space, we can then bring awareness to their words. We can ask questions and find out where they can start from. How can they redefine that? Take away the identities, the labels, the attachments, and start from the truth. Tell me something that you're not good at. Can you imagine how many people can go and answer that question? What don't you like? What am I not good at? Now it's a choice. So redefining, bringing awareness to the questions that are being asked to you, pause. If it's leading you down a path to be negative about yourself, to bring back emotions from your past, redefine the answer to that question. Restructure, make it work for you. We always have a choice. Bringing awareness to the full spectrum, and then starting from your truth, look back at the midpoint. Be aware of the darkness. That was my past, that was my story. And that was a big part of my story. And if we start from each day with us in the middle and consistently show up every day, look how much more you are already in your truth. The mind is already with the soul. The soul is already inside the body. Oneness. Mankind, being kind to yourself by starting with your truth. And as soon as we recognize that we're not in our truth, there's awareness. There's an uncomfort. There's clatter going on upstairs. And in that flash, we bring it back to our truth. So just things to ponder today. And I'm going to ask you to bring awareness to the wheel and see if you can add things into that. Make it work for you. The soul, the rules only come from you. The mind is the limitations. Yet if we use the imagination from the mind, we can increase our spectrum, a soul spectrum. So starting with the wheel, you in the middle, 10 out of 10 on all things. That is who you are, the truth. And that is what this journey is about. We're remembering. And as you can see over the last few months, there has been so much growth and change. If we was to compare, you could highlight so many wins, so many successes, so many shifts, so many insights. And because we're continuing to work on ourselves, all we're going to get now is more awareness, more joy, more peace, more calmness, more clarity. So changing the models. We are the model. So I'm going to leave this song playing and to come back to the wheel with the eyes open and to see if you can add more things to your wheel, a full spectrum. Maybe something you can come back to as you go on this journey. Find the opposites and then find the truth. Find the opposites and then set the midpoint. Start from the soul, look back at the midpoint. Remember that old ego and see what comes up for you.